Emotion. We do this thing and take it off last lane, coasting, and everything is going to be all right. We talk about life on other planets tonight. Yeah, the comfort zone is on another place I own. I'm going to talk about tonight and on my own this subject, this topic, this thing. Yeah, we going to talk about this thing as if we are the kings, the sun up in the skies, our solar system, and the master of that, and nobody can diss them. But there are other planets out there, and I want to know if anything is living. And do you care? I know that I do. I'll be thinking about this kind of stuff, and you'll come to the conclusion it's kind of rough, it's kind of tough. I don't know if there is, but we going to talk about tonight. Yeah, my whiz. And that's what we talking about tonight. Tonight on the Daily Go Getimism Show, Power Monday, Labor Day, whole lot going on today. So we're gonna talk about. Let's have a little talk about life on other planets. Do you believe that there's life on other planets? Man, this is I don't know. I can't say for sure. One thing is for sure that I can say is that it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it might be not, might not be. But I think it's worthy of a conversation. Now, I was inspired to do this show when we was talking yesterday, and somebody was asking me, do I take topics for the show? And I was telling them, yeah, if you come in my email, we can, if you have a strong topic that you think will be good, yeah, I definitely will take it into consideration, and I'll rock it, and I'll actually give you the credit for it. Most people don't take that invitation, they say it in passing, and I get that. It's all good. But I was saying on the show that if I talked about the stuff that I really want to talk about, or the stuff that I really wonder about, I would talk about, is there life on other planets? But I didn't think that would work. Well, we're going to see tonight. So whether it works as far as popularity is concerned or not, we're going to have this conversation. Let's have a talk about life on other planets. Let's have this talk about life on other planets. Aliens. Do people come from outer space? Where they come from? Yeah. I said, do you think about the stuff? I know I do. So let's have a talk about it. What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling? I hope all of y'all had a good Labor Day today. I hope that, it's supposed to be the last cookout of the summer. For some people, they believe that it's the last cookout of the season. I don't know about all that. What I do know is that some people cooked out. Some people didn't cook out. You don't see as many cookouts for the three major summer holidays, warm weather holidays as you used to see. At least not in my neck of the woods. Maybe somewhere else out there, people still congregating, getting together, throwing block parties and all that kind of stuff. We still do it, but it's not on the same level. Man, there used to be so many block parties on the block. I mean, so many block parties in the hood. You would have to realign and detour your way, just getting through the major streets and stuff like that. And it's not like that no more. But people still get together. We got these little secret cookouts. We got the little underground, like, look, man, I'm throwing something on the grill. You know what I mean? You can come in a +1. Don't invite nobody with a bunch of kids. We ain't got that much. We don't have that much food. We just doing a little something. So let's get it popping. Urban Therapy with Sun 752. This your daily. It's the Daily Go Getimism Show. We do this every single day. Every day it rains, and the DG will do the same. We break it down, baby. Every day it rains, and the DG will do the same. Every day it rains, and the DG will do the same. Every day it rains, and the DG will do the same. Every day it rains, and the DG will do the same. I am your host, Sun 752. AKA Omar with the rrrr. And if you can't say Omar with the rrrr, well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Daily Go Getimism Show, all up in your area. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should. Also, tonight we are talking about let's have a talk about life on other planets. Do you think that there's life on other planets? Do you have some type of proof about whether there's life on other planets? When you start talking about life on other planets, you kind of, it's a polarizing subject. And this is one of those topics that separates people, that can have some people thinking that they really know something that they can't show proof of, or rejecting something that there may be some proof of. You know, it's a crazy thing. I don't have any proof, any ironclad, I know this for sure, evidence that there's life on other planets. But I think for me to say that, if I was to say that there wasn't life on other planets, I would have to use some measurements of life that we use to determine what life is. See, that's the thing. In the human realm, life on Earth exists when there is water. That is our number one measurement for determining if there's life somewhere. That's why when we so-called went to the moon, when we send a rover to Mars, they say there's a rover in Mars. Whenever we try to go somewhere out of space, we look for water, because from our proof, from our unit of measuring life, wherever there's water, there is a chance for life. Everything, every living thing on this planet consists of water. The human body consists of 65% water. So we know that if you can find some water, even if it's frozen and even if it's boiling, we can probably get some life out of it. So I'm thinking that if there is life on other planets, we probably have to find a different way of measuring their life. So the question becomes, all right, so if you have to have water in order to have life on Earth, is that what you need in other places, other galaxies, other universes, other solar systems, other planets, other Milky Ways, other universes? Is the universe that we know, consisting of the sun, moon, and stars, is that the only universe? Is there something else out there? This is how come it gets so tough when you start talking about life on other planets. That's why it gets so hard and so dicey and so difficult to prove, because it's like, it's tough. What's up, my peoples? T. Carey, right? Moon and noon and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your site. And Stacy White, thanks for coming through. Hold it down for the D. Yeah, one love. Yeah, I see you. And David Figueroa, what's good? He says, yes, I think so. That's what's up. And Sarab, what's that? Sarab, who are you? I ain't nobody. And D. Saruma, are you partially Egyptian? I don't know. The part of me that would be Egyptian would be so small. I mean, minuscule. I'm talking about microscopic. So we're going to go with no. Anirud, rat, tappity tap, word cat, man. Okay, all right. Scene flexing. What's going on, my dude? Scene flexing. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming through. David Figueroa says, didn't they leak pictures of an alien? The thing is, when they leak pictures of an alien, they've been leaking pictures of aliens for decades. But how do we know? How do we know? You know, the government doesn't have the balls to show a full-fledged alien from outer space, because then you have a whole lot of questions that you have to answer. You know, and it's funny because science used to actually think that there were little green men on Mars. They used to actually push that shit. Like, well, what are you talking about? Green men on Mars. They used to actually say that shit. That was science. And of course, our religious people say, no, there's no such thing as life on other planets. And, you know, I talked to some people. I've talked to Christians. I've talked to Muslims. And they say that there is no life on other planets because there's only one God. And the God, even though he created the sun, moon, and stars, he only created life on Earth. I've heard religious people say that, and I'm thinking like, wow, isn't that something? I don't know. Shadow Band, my people. Shadow Band was good. He says that I think there's life on other planets, but not intelligent life. That hasn't been found on any planet yet. Now we measure intelligence by the ability to learn. And I'm thinking, if there's life on other planets, especially if life on other planets has come to the world, has come to Earth, I think that's pretty intelligent, because we sure haven't made it to anywhere else that we know of. I don't know about any government in the world that has successfully visited another planet and put life there. Mother, father, I'm gonna get you. All right. So I mean, when we start addressing the question of whether there's life on other planets, we start getting more questions. We start getting way more questions. It gets crazy. Seeing Flexen says, if there's thousands of planets, then yes, there is most likely life. That makes sense. Like, what would the plan? All right. Seeing Flexen. They say, science says that all of those stars you see in the sky, and you know, when you're down south in the United States where they don't have as many lights out there in the country, you see hundreds and thousands of stars in the sky. In the city, you don't see the stars as well because the lights in the city prevent you from really seeing all of the stars. But when you are out in the country where it's really dark, like Paul Revere, you know, riding, talking about the British are coming dark. Yeah, you see thousands and thousands of stars. And they say, science says, that each one of those stars, each one is bigger than the sun in our solar system. Now, you know, the sun in our solar system is our star. And it's supposed to be really big, 93,000 miles away. How do they know it's 93 million miles away? I don't know. Because we definitely don't have a telescope that can see 93 million miles away. And the light that would come from the sun would burn out anybody's retinas instantly if we got close enough to really see the surface. So they've done some tests. But, you know, like I said, when you come up with one answer, you're going to spark a whole lot more questions. Shadowband says, I was abducted by illegal aliens. Does that still count? Yes, but you had to go like to Zatox. Where's Zatox? I don't know. It's out there. So if the illegal aliens came from, like, let's say Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, yeah, if they came and they abducted you and y'all got in a spaceship and y'all rode to Zatox, it counts. Other than that, nah. A green card kind of debunk all that theory. Okay, MUHD Atif Mood Atif. I'm an alien. Cool. Thanks for coming through. You can help. I have some questions I need to ask you. Bubba VR says, can you make up a random song? Sure, I do it all the time. You want to hear a random song? You wanna. As soon as I get done giving out the shout outs, I'ma do this thing and nobody better pout out. Cause I try to bring joy and love and all those kind of happy things. We gonna do this. The Snappy Kings are coming through. They're coming too hard. Yeah, you running around with the Sun 7. Yeah, that's the God. I don't mean the God that controls all things. I'm talking about the God that's a king. And I'm a king in my own right. I don't have to be ruling over nobody after me. Everything is going to be all right. We make sure that we make up songs each and every night. And we even get, instruments in the game. Make sure that we do this thing. No song is the same. We making up new lyrics every time you come through. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this thing we doing too. And if you come through again, yo, subscribe to the channel. You gonna hit this thing up like flannel. In the summertime, summer heat, 100 degrees. We gonna do this thing. Hold up, stop, seize. Don't make a move. Nobody move. Nobody's gonna get hurt. I ain't trying to hit. Ain't trying to squirt. Ain't trying to do nothing that's gonna hurt nobody. We gonna get this thing out here. We talking about heavenly body. We talking about the sun and moon that start the night. We gonna do this shit. We gonna have this conversation right. And I hope that y'all will call into the number. I'm going to give you the number in a second. Yo, don't slumber. Don't sleep. Make sure you stay up. Don't sleep. Everything is going to be all right. I keep going. Nah, stopping for right now. We be back at it in a minute. Yo. Okay. Zayn. Hey, big bro. What's going on? Thanks for coming through. And Lou Wave says, my brother again. Free Palestine. Great to see you. No doubt. Free Palestine all day, every day. Free Palestine. Free all of the Palestinians. The real Semitic people. The real Semitic people. No faking. No faking. Liberty. Libertad. Al-Wed. I just divorced yesterday. My wife became a man after. Damn, you come through with that same shit every night. And you ain't got no wife. She ain't become no man. You ain't telling no truth. Naturalista rap, naturalista rap, naturalista rap. What's going on, man? Good to see me some you. And local boy says, Nel de Grace. Tyson says, there is some life somewhere else. Okay, cool. Word of Bremen, my peoples. Free Germany. Free Germany? Now, what? Germany? Free Germany? I ain't gonna lie. Historically, I ain't never heard no shit like that in my life. Free Germany. All right. Y'all doing things monumental. Y'all can call into the show. If y'all want to call into into the show tonight and talk about this thing, having this talk about life on other planets, I invite you to call in. And the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. That's the number to call. I said a 319-527-6199. Yes, y'all. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get on the line. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. Get your shine, baby. 319-527-6199, baby. Call 319-527-6199. Press number 1, and that will let me know that you would like to speak. And then I will call you out by the last 4 digits of your telephone number. You can rock on and do the damn, do the damn thing. This is the Daily Go-Gettemism Show. And we are talking about, let's have this talk about life on other planets. What do y'all think? So far, we have a few people who believe that there is life on other planets. So just like I was saying, in order for there to qualify, in order for life on other planets to qualify through human qualifications, there would have to be water. There would have to be water. Anything can exist on Earth if there's water. Out of water comes life for us. Would it be like that on other planets? Do they have some other measurement of determining life? And if that life has made it to the world, if it has made it to Earth, if somehow they have had the technology to be able to come to Earth, the third planet from the sun, would they have to adapt to using water as their way of life, or would they be able to mimic life on Earth? And when I say life on Earth, I can't say just human life, because it could be that life in another form, another physical form, has come to the world. Because I'm thinking that if there's life on other planets that was able to make it to Earth, then they would have to look like human beings in order to be recognized. If they look too different, if they look starkly different from human beings, like some of the images of the so-called aliens that you've seen, then they would stand out too much, and it would be hard for them to observe because they wouldn't be able to mix in with the with the rest of the people. But what if they came in another form, like an animal that we've never seen, aquatic life that somehow can surveil land life? You know, we don't know what's going on in the water. There are places in the ocean that are so deep we can't go. No submarine can go. There are depths in the ocean that many fish can't go. It's too dark. It's too there's too much pressure. It can't go. There are only certain fish that can exist there. What if they were able to go there? Maybe what if they were the fish? Stuff like that. Or if you are familiar with Area 51, which is a restricted airspace, a restricted area in the United States, in Nevada, that no civilian has ever been able to visit, observe, or see. And all of the employees that work there have been sworn to secrecy. Nobody has come out and told anything about what they have seen or done in Area 51, which adds more and more to the mystery of like what's going on? What happened there? What's going, like, is there really a such thing? George W. Bush tried to deny that there was an Area 51. Then he finally admitted it. Like, okay, there's an Area 51, but ain't no aliens there. He tried to throw us off the scent. But people know what they know. Or at least they think what they think. Somebody knows something. Let me see. All right. Let me see. Local boy says, Neil deGrasse Tyson is my favorite black astrophysicist. You should watch him speaking someday. You will get inspired as hell, bro. Okay. I ain't mad at that. Zayn says the universe is too big. There's millions of planets we have not discovered yet. I'd be surprised if there's no life elsewhere. Exactly. Like, but if there is life, do they know about this life? Like, you know, people on Earth would shit their pants if they found out that there was life on other planets, because it would go against so many things that have been ingrained in us. Our conditioning to believe that we are special and superior would probably have to go out of the window. I don't think people would be able to handle it. There'd probably be a lot of instant heart attacks, like cardiac arrest on site. Because, you know, like I was saying, man, a lot of religious people don't believe that there's life on other planets. They don't believe that. I've talked to people who say, no, there's no life on other planets and there's only life on Earth. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty arrogant when you really think about it. To think that there are other places made of rock, made of something, made of some substance that we can't get close enough to see, but we know that they're there. But to think that there's no way that there could be life anywhere else. But, you know, one thing about religion, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to shit on anybody's religion or even talk down to anybody's religion. I don't think that that's productive. I think it's counterproductive, and I don't want to engage on that. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody's beliefs. I really want to cater to people's questions, to people's wonders, because I don't know. I would love to know, but you know, I don't want to make it seem like, yeah, those religious folks, you know what I mean? They just think that that they know everything. I ain't getting into all of that, because there are some religions that do believe in life on other planets, and they do believe that, like, anyway. So the religious people that I've talked to, they said that there was only life on Earth because God is on Earth. So heaven is on Earth in some kind of way. Like, they literally believe that heaven is up in, like, above the clouds somewhere. You can't get there in the physical form. You can only get there in the spiritual form. They say you can only get there in the spiritual form, but they believe that you can burn in hell for all eternity, which you would have to have a physical form in order to burn. You can't burn a spirit, nor can you walk streets paved with gold. You know, just saying. Logic and religion don't match very well. Logic and religion don't mesh too well. Thunderbolt 881, what's good? Thanks for coming through. And Brother B says, is that a man or a woman? Is what a man or a woman? Motherfucker, you don't see nothing that you have to question over here. I understand, you know, okay. All right, it's time for you need some attention. What time is it? It's 1:26 on the East Coast. It's 1:26 a.m. on the East Coast, and it's time for Brother B to get some attention. Like you didn't get it at home. You definitely not getting it from your girl. So you came here to get it from a man. You poor LGBTQ ambassador, you poor. Yeah, I'm almost feel bad for you. Local Boy says, even if there are other humans on other planets, they have completely different languages we never could imagine. Maybe they're beatboxing to each other or something. Well, think about it like this. All right, I don't know if you've ever read the Bible, but in the Bible, if you've ever read how different languages was created, well, it's an interesting read. As a matter of fact, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I just happen to have my handy dandy Bible, and I outlined the area where they talked about language because I thought it was interesting. Like, let me see. It's in the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible. Okay. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, here. All right, in Genesis chapter 11, verse 5. It says, the Lord came down to see the city. Then he's talking about the city of Babel. The city of Babel. It says, the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which mortals had built. And the Lord said, look, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there so that they will not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off the building and the city. Therefore, it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. That's supposed to be why we don't all speak the same language in the world. Because God said, if they were all speaking the same language and building cities, then they will become, basically what it's saying is they will become arrogant, and they will become They would think they are too powerful. So he had to take the language away from them so they couldn't communicate as well. And therefore, it would limit their ability to communicate and get things done. Interestingly enough, that's exactly what they did in slavery. That's exactly what they did. They took black people from different tribes and they couldn't communicate with each other, so they couldn't rebel against the structure that had captured them and enslaved them. It took them a longer time to learn each other's language. But yeah, that's taking it a little too far. The reason why that's important is because we don't know how things even on this earth communicate. We don't really know how cats and dogs communicate. We know that they have a way of communicating. But if you ever, even like a household cat, have you ever noticed that cats don't meow to each other? They don't do that. A cat comes up against another cat, they don't be like meow, meow. They don't do that. It's not how they communicate. Dogs bark at each other, but we don't know what they're saying. And we can't figure out what they're saying. We can't figure it out. There's some circumstances, if you have pets, where you can tell that if a dog is protecting you, like if he barks at another dog or if he bites another dog in defense of you, you can kind of tell, but you don't know what he said. What you don't know is what he said. So if there was life on other planets, I'm sure that they would have another way of communicating that wouldn't necessarily have to be language. See, when you start thinking about life on other planets, you have to do something that we don't really like to do. And that means, and what we don't really like to do as human beings is we don't like to think outside of our physical form. We don't like to think outside of our knowledge base. We don't like to think outside of things that we can see, hear, touch, taste, feel. We don't like to do that because we don't know anything about it. Some of us do. Some of us do. And we have a hard time getting other people to step outside of their physical body and think about the possibilities that you can have or seize if you think outside of what you know physically. So if aliens are able to make it to Earth, however they communicate, I think that they have the drop on human beings because they can make it here. We haven't been able to make it there. Now, how would they make it here? Somehow they would be able to communicate, and somehow they would be able to study us from as far away as they are and be able to come here. Now, what would they come here for? If we believe that there's life on other planets and we believe that there's life on other planets that has come to the Earth, then what are they doing? Hello World says, why leave the planet where there's an ice wall? Word of Bremen says, they gave us the languages, silly. Oh, okay. Local Boy says, maybe they are in a stone age now and didn't progress like us. And even if we met them, the contact would be hard to make. Well, see, we're thinking about our history when we start talking about the stone ages and ice ages and all of that. This is one of the reasons why I shied away from doing a show like this, because you gotta unpack so much. You gotta unpack so much. Like, if we start talking about life on other planets, then we have to start talking about our theory of creation. How did they get where they are? How did we get where we are? Why does anything exist? Do y'all understand what I'm talking about? Why does and how does anything exist? If we believe that God created everything, well, how do we know? How did God create himself? How was God created? See, and that's what I mean by we have to step out of our physical body in order to fathom this shit. Our theory of creation is that one thing comes from another thing. There's the one thing, and then that sparks another thing, and then another thing sparks another thing, and it creates another thing and another thing. Well, then if our numerical system starts at 1, how did we get to 1? Why isn't there 0? Here's what I've thought about. Perhaps our theory of creation is wrong. Perhaps there's another way that things are created. Maybe there's a whole different mathematical system that exists that we don't know anything about, but it doesn't start at 1. Maybe there's another way that things come to be, but our theory of creation just doesn't hold up when you ask, how did the first thing get created? How did we start at number 1? Big Bang Theory, none of that shit is going to get it. There's no reason. If we believe that one thing comes from another thing, then there's no way we can prove where the one thing started from. So maybe there's something else out there. Maybe there's another way to create something. Maybe there has to be something, because how did we get here? And I'm not just talking about, the sperm and the egg and all of that. Why, how does any of that stuff exist? Alan says, sounds like a fairy tale. Oh, you talking about when I was reading? Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the Bible, I was told not to read the Bible literally. Which I think is interesting. I was told not to read the word of God literally. You know what I mean? If you thinking what I'm thinking. Luke McClure says 3:26 p.m. in Australia. Well, shout out to Australia. What part of Australia you coming from? Alan says Tower of Babel. Word of Bremen says, yeah, and I want my rainbow back. I have kids, pervert. It's 7:20. What are you talking about? Dude, you gotta stop. You gotta stop either smoking or drinking. You gotta chill. There wasn't nobody talking to you. Jessica Andrew says, hello, what's going on? Zayn says, right, you gotta chill. Hello World says, God sounds like governor. Word of Bremen says, I'm the truth. They separated us, made us fight each other. Coco T. Coco T, you back, huh? Back for another round. All right. Maybe they want to learn compassion by choice. I don't know. Max says, aliens are us in the distant future. That's interesting. It's interesting that you would say that. I would like you to elaborate a little bit more on that. Nifa says, nah, God created us to worship him only. I don't have any problem with that belief. I'm just wondering why God created all that other stuff. Like he didn't even create Earth as the biggest planet. Like he made us third from the sun. There could be no life on Mars because it's too goddamn cold. The surface, the atmosphere in Mars is so cold. It's colder than Freon. No human being, even polar bears would not be able to take it. So when they start talking about colonizing Mars, I'm like, so you're never going to get undressed again, huh? Because, yeah, Mars. Okay. Nifa says, Okay, Hello World says cells have programming. Yes, they do. Nifa says, and we should follow his command in everything we do. Okay. Coco T says, I'm probable being biased, but humans express compassion just because we're as non-humans seem to engage for survival. That's an interesting way that you put that. Zayn says, everything goes back to God. The creator is outside of space and time. And how do we know that? Nifa says, have you read the Quran? I've read a little bit of the Quran. And I've only read a little bit of the Bible. I'm not a scholar. I'm not trying to wear that hat. When you start getting deep into the Bible, I'm not trying to have that conversation. I'm not qualified. The Quran, the Torah, none of that. I'm not qualified. I'm not a religious scholar, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I do deal with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I do deal with truth and understanding. I do deal with logic. We can do that all day. It's a little harder for me to go with miracles and things. Like, I'm here talking about stepping outside of our physical thought, of our physical body, in order to understand better. But I struggle with it too, especially on Earth. On Earth, I struggle with that. Johan Nada says the Bible is blasphemy. Well, I mean, the Bible was written by man. They say it's the word of God, but their verses, first of all, there are too many different versions of the Bible. This Bible that I read from, it's called the C.S. Lewis Bible. Come on, man. Like, they branding Bible? Shoot, Donald Trump has his own Bible. Real shit. I'm like, who are you, King James? Type Myson. Okay, Zayn says Quran actually talks about other planets. Well, I mean, right there on the flag is sun, moon, and stars. We know that in Islam, we believe that we believe in the universe, but do we believe on life and life on other planets? That's my question. Do we believe that there's life on other planets? The ancients know something. The ancients know something, and guess what? Somebody currently knows something too. There's somebody alive right now, more than one person, more than probably 1,000 people who know something concretely, but I don't think that they can talk about it. Type Myson says, my butt hurts. I think I got abducted by aliens. Poor you. Hello World says, even science and exploration is sounding like faith. We can go beyond lower Earth orbit, but history says we've been to the moon. What history says we've been to the moon, and why would we go? The moon is the Earth's satellite. Why do we need to go there? I mean, the United States claimed to have gone there in 1969. Did they? Do you believe it? I mean, there have been plenty of people who have debunked it. Like, how you have shadows in outer space? You can't. How is the flag blowing? There's no atmosphere to do that. Would they have fans? There's a lot of things that just didn't add up. And then when they wanted Obama to go back to the moon, he was like, nah, I've been there, done that. When he said that, and that's a quote, he said, nah, I've been there, done that. We ain't got money to be going and trying to go to the moon. We gonna do some other shit. Cause he knew we ain't go there the first time. And we can't go there. We can't go there. Cause we got too much technology now. We got HD technology. Motherfuckers gonna know if you fronting. You know what I mean? Back in 1969, you could do some shit with cameras and sets and shit like that. That wasn't gonna work. And he knew it. Surely, sure, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Surely, sure, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. What's good? Zion says, I have to do more research about that, to be honest. We all have to do more research. This is not an easy topic. I mean, really, normally I just talk about shit that I know, that I don't have to think a whole lot about. This is tough because, like I said, man, like I was talking about our theory of creation. When you really think about it, how did any of us get here? Because if we question life on other planets, we ain't even finished questioning life on Earth. How? Science says there ain't no God. And they got receipts and proof. Spiritual folks says we don't need no proof. We can feel it. You can feel it in your heart. You can feel it in your body. I don't disagree with either one of them. Both of them have some type. See, science has measurements. They have tests to prove what they think. But all of that's still an embodiment of our physical knowledge, our physical self. We don't know what can be done outside of what we can prove. And that's what science has not proven. They haven't proven that there's some things that can't be proved. Or should I say proven? So, you know, our godly folks, they have their problems too, which are evident. Gorilla God King, Gorilla God King, yeah. Gorilla God King, yeah. South Africa's in the house. Thanks for coming through Soweto. No way. I'm glad you came through. I appreciate I appreciate you. Thank you, my dude. Thank you, my dude. All right, Coco T says, I mentioned engaging for survival as a follow-up to non-humans wanting to learn compassion out of choice, not out of survival. Okay. Nifa says, what if there is life on other planets? So what? Well, so what? That means that we have a lot to learn. Because if we think that there's life on other planets, see, a lot of people believe that there's life from other planets on this planet right now. But they believe that it's being kept a secret. They're being housed in some kind of, I think if they exist, I think they walk amongst us in some kind of way. I can't explain that. Bharat Kumar says, have you ever tried reading ancient Hinduism text, leak, Vedas, Upanishads, or Gita? No, I haven't read any of those. I guess that solves most of these questions very easily. Okay. All right. I ain't mad at that. Oh, shit. Thank you. Gorilla God King says, like, where's our cow bones? Man, I'm here. You know, that's how you can tell that I'm out of the zone. Here we are, almost an hour in. Man, we ain't get dressed. Let's get dressed, y'all. Let's put on the cow bones. Put on your cow bones. In the middle of a young boy's dream. Yeah. All right, one cow bone. Let me see. Get it just right here. You know, you're gonna do it like this. Yeah. Now we on set. Let me get y'all fitted. Put y'all suit on, man. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta put y'all uniform on. Put your cow bones on, my peoples. Put your cow bones. Which one y'all wanna rock? Which cow bones do you wanna rock? Do you wanna rock the left, the middle, the right? Which one? The left, the middle, the right. Which one? The left, the middle, the right. Which one? The left, the middle, the right. Which one? The left, middle, right. Left, middle, right. Left, middle, right. Gorilla God King says middle. He's leading. KB is in the house. What's up? What up, KB? She says middle. Shirley Cheryl says right. We got 3 for middle. Oh, it's looking middle-ish. Thunderbolt says right. We got 2 for right. None for left. 3 for middle. Coco T says middle. We doing middle. It's middle. It's middle. It's middle. We ain't got all day to vote. It's bad enough. Y'all out here naked. Y'all in the show naked. Hope nobody saw y'all. All right, I need y'all to stick your neck out. Please stick your neck out for me. No diddy. All right. Let's get the ocular proof popping. Get the ocular proof popping. Let me see what y'all looking like. Wing on the mic. Yo, sucker MCs, don't try. Bye. All right. Well, somebody's looking awfully spiffy. Somebody's looking awfully spiffy tonight. Somebody's looking pretty, looking beautiful, looking gorgeous, looking lovely, looking looking handsome, looking debonair, looking suave, looking fly. Somebody got a good suit on and a real pretty dress. Somebody's looking like it's still a little summertime left, man. We looking good out here. We outside, baby. We outside, baby. Take a screenshot. We outside. You think we ain't when we is? You think we won't when we whiz? Yeah, screenshot that shit, baby. Yeah. Good looking out, Gorilla God King. Y'all mean? We got so deep into the topic. We running out here with no shirt on, y'all topless ass, y'all freaky ass go-getters. What you doing? What y'all doing? You're looking fresh to death. You're looking fresh to death. That's what's up, y'all. Good looking. All right. Seeing Flexer says cowbone time. That's what's up. Seika Sala says God is in us. We control our thoughts and our actions. We control our destiny. We are our own guide in this reality. Well, that is a way to look at it. But how have we been doing in terms of control? Because we have allowed our flesh to rule everything. What part of the game is that? Local Boy says they say we have the satellite TV. Moon is our satellite. How does the moon store all of those TV channels inside? Yeah, where does the cloud put all of that data? Where's the cloud put all that data? All right. Hello World says, ye are gods. Nifa says, God is watch us. I don't know. Okay. All right, let's scale it back a little bit. By the way, man, listen, one of y'all or some of y'all should call in. 319-527-6199. The lines are open, waiting for y'all to dial the number. Because we should have this conversation up close and personal. Life on other planets. Let's have this talk about life on other planets. Is there such thing? Are we real? 319-527-6199. 319-527-6199. Please press number 1 if you would like to speak, and then I will call you out by the last 4 digits of your telephone number, and you can rock out. No censorship on this show. No censorship. Y'all already know what it is. You can say whatever you want. You can say how you feel. You can curse. You can cuss. You can swear. You can do it right here. You can yell, scream, and holler. You can say what you want to. Won't cost $1. 319-527-6199. In the meantime, can y'all please do me one little solid? I only ask you to do one thing on this show. Please hit that like button. Hit the like button. We got 28 people in the house, at least 28 showing. We should have 28 likes. I mean, I'm just looking at it that way. We having a good conversation tonight. I think we are astral traveling a little bit. We jogging our minds. We trying to figure out some things. You know, we asking each other, building with each other about life on other planets, trying to figure it out, see if it makes any sense. Maybe to some of us it makes sense. Maybe to some of us it doesn't. Let me see. "365 days of Joey Salvatore. What's good?" And Musa Lee says, "Looking like Black Jesus." I always wanted to look like a Black Jesus, or did I? I don't know. He says, I have liked and subscribed. Did you do it? Did you what? Did you? Did you? Did you? Did you? Well, good looking now for subscribing to the channel. We're going to heat this thing up like a flannel shirt. Yeah, sweater. Yeah, sweater. Thanks for becoming a go-getter. Like a sweater. Like a sweater. Thanks for hooking up and becoming a go-getter. Like a sweater. Like a sweater. Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. Like a sweater. Like a sweater. Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. I said, Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. I said, Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. I said, Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. I said, Thanks for coming through and being a go-getter. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. For everybody else, don't be scared to subscribe. Don't be scared to subscribe. We talk about real shit every day. Every single day. And it's never going to stop. Not as long as I have breath in my lungs. Kitty Keyless. What's good? What's good? Hello World says cowbell bones. Cowbell, cow bones, and the triangle. You want more? You want more? Cause you know we got more. Y'all need something? Tell you what. Since we got our cow bones, we can channel our ancestors. Now, if there's life on other planets, would they be able to play music like us? You know what I never noticed? I'm kind of dressed like this drum. Look, the eagle, black and white, with the tan in the back. Parliament Funkadelics. Lit dance, sucker. Say move, sucker. Say dance, sucker. Say move, sucker. Will the aliens help us tonight? Will the aliens come down and do us right? Will the aliens help tonight? Will they come down out of the sky? All right. Okay. So going back to what I was talking about, we have to confront, in order for us to have a serious conversation about whether there's life on other planets, we have to tap into our real feelings. We have to kind of attack our theory of creation, because if we believe that there's life somewhere else, but we haven't reconciled how life exists here, we have a lot of work to do. It's almost like putting the cart before the horse. It's almost like trying to free another place when you're still in bondage yourself. How do we get here? Is there some type of other way to be created besides the sperm, the egg, the uterus, placenta, the 9-month gestation period? And that's just mammal life. When we start talking about other animals, other creatures, other beings, other forms of life, there's a lot of shit going on. And, when we, I believe, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I believe that two things can be true at the same time. I don't see any reason why you can't believe in God and believe that there's life on other planets, especially if you believe God created life and all the other planets. Like if you believe that God created everything, any and all things, then why wouldn't you be able to believe Like most people who believe in God believe that he created us all. He knows everything that we think, that we hear, that we see, that we do. He controls everything. So you don't think he would be able to do that in another place? You know what I mean? You know, he stays busy. I see that we have a caller on the line. Caller with the last number is 0543. Let's go ahead and take the caller. All right, caller with the last number is 0543. Thank you for holding. What's on your mind tonight? What's good? Talk to me.
Hello, it's KB.
What up, KB? What's good?
Hi, I'm good. I will say I'm recovering from a cold, so my voice is a little bit off. But it's a very interesting topic. So, I wanted to contribute to the conversation.
Okay, what's up?
So there is definitely life on other planets. I'm a firm believer in that. And, throughout history, there's a lot of evidence to support it. And then also in like mainstream media, there's been a lot of declassified documents from the military acknowledging like, I think they call them UAPs now, but UFOs, same thing. And there's also a lot of whistleblowers that have come out who've worked on like government projects with terrestrial beings who are very like credible individuals. Like if you look up their history, they're very knowledgeable. They seem to be sane. And they like go into very specific detail about some of the work they've done with like extraterrestrials.
Okay, so from what you've seen and heard from them, how have they described extraterrestrials to have made it to Earth?
So, based on like some of the reports and the interviews I've seen, a lot of these individuals are saying that, by way of craft, by way of spacecraft, their technology is obviously more advanced. So whereas it might take us 10 years to travel to one of their planetary systems, they may be able to get here in like an hour.
Okay.
So, one of the whistleblowers was saying that Earth is kind of like a pit stop for a lot of these other beings because of the minerals and the resources. So, they can refuel and things of that nature, and then continue on their journey wherever else they're going. So, the government has interacted a lot with other beings, according to the whistleblowers report.
Okay, so if they treat, okay, first of all, you said that they may have traveled here through spacecraft, right? Now it has been said that like our stealth bombers and planes like that have actually borrowed from alien technology. Like and they say that the same way that the stealth bombers are able to avoid radar is the same way that spaceships have been able to infiltrate Earth. Now, whether that's true or not, who can say? But I'm thinking that if they refuel their tanks, so does that mean that they use petroleum? Do they use gas, or do they use some other thing that powers their vehicles? And if they are using things that are used that can be used from Earth, does that mean that their atmosphere, wherever they come from, is it similar to Earth? If they can use some of the things that we have here, and they can withstand our atmosphere, like if they can breathe our air, if they breathe, do they need to breathe? Do they have a respiratory system? Do they have the same type of organ structure that we have, or something similar to it that has uses, even if they don't have, if they're not set up the same way that we are? Like there's a lot that comes with that if what they're saying is true.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are all very good questions. And what I watched was basically like a series of interviews with different whistleblowers, and they do cover like those topics and questions. So the one that I'm specifically talking about, his name is Emery Smith. And as far as the question about them using our resources, A lot of them, and I'm saying them because he talked about several different species. He was actually recruited on as a medical expert. He was a medic in the Navy. So he first began by dissecting like pieces of flesh. He would be in like a clean room and he would be dissecting pieces of flesh, but he could tell that they weren't human or any species that he had known. And, you know, over the years of being over the company, he would get larger slabs of like entire organs or entire like limbs. And eventually he would actually have the clearance to see the entire bodies and sometimes interact with them while they were still alive. So a lot of these beings, like their atmospheres are a little different. They mine and use some of the resources here to fuel their crafts. Like some of the gaseous mixtures in our atmosphere can be used as like an energy source for their craft. As far as like their physical like anatomy and physiology, like Emery Smith, he goes over like several different kinds through his like medical expertise and what he was hired on for. Like some of them look bird-like, some of them are reptile-like, some of them are humanoid. Like he says he interacted with several different species. And there's been a lot of work in Alaska as well. I don't know if you've kept up with any of the History Channel documentaries, but there was a couple documentaries about pyramids under the ice in Alaska, and a lot of those were actually alienoid craft. And those specific ones were like biogenetic material. So some of their craft are actually an extension of their physical being. So some of the crafts are actually biologically living organisms. So a lot of the technology has been reverse engineered to suit like our military and things of that nature.
See, now if you're talking about dissecting aliens and things like that, even here on Earth, when you handle certain animals, certain plants and things like that, you have to worry about like allergies and radioactivity and things like that. So I'm thinking, how would you handle a being from another planet? How would you be able to do that safely? And could you even like, how could you know that you were safe? Would you just be willing to take the chance anyway? Like,
yeah. So
go ahead.
So from what he was saying, Emery Smith, the whistleblower, he was saying that the specific facility he worked at was like a third-party company contracted by the military, which, you know, is known that they contract a lot of these individuals for these black budget projects. But he said this specific facility was in the desert. It was several stories underground. He didn't know the specific like dimensions of how far down they were because every time he went there, he kind of went in blind. So they take this super fast bullet train to this underground facility. They're going in an elevator like several layers deep. And a part of that is to kind of keep the materials away from the surface to where, you know, they could be exposed in the open and create like different pathogens and stuff for us. So not only is it underground, but these rooms are constructed with like, he was like this super advanced technology. He's like, the rooms you step in and it's a white room and it's almost like seamless. Like the seams on the walls and things like that, it's almost like seamless. So the material that they use to even construct these rooms, he was like, he wasn't even totally familiar with that type of technology. So he was like, you stick your hands in the wall. So it's like cutouts where you stick your hand in and your hand is inserted into like this rubberized like glove to where you can be slid like kind of in like a pull-out in a sliding table where you're slid these parts and these organs and this tissue, and meanwhile your hand is inside this like rubberized glove and you're reaching through the wall onto the operating table where this tissue is being slid out to you.
Okay, so he was he from the United States?
Yeah, he's from the United States. I forgot where he was born and raised, but he was a small town, born and raised there. And he said he actually had like some real life experience with otherworldly beings when he was a child. So,
okay. Now, the reason I asked that is because I wonder, is the United States so special that they would have access to aliens when other countries don't, or do other countries have the same kind of secrets in their areas than the United States does? Because one thing that's consistent is that they're always talking about being out in some remote place, normally out in the desert. Everything seems to happen out in the desert. You know what I mean? The pyramids, where? Out in the desert. Everything happens out in the desert. Like, you know, and most well, I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people believe that every desert was covered in water at some time, like the Grand Canyon, Hell's Canyon. You know what I mean? So of course that would have to be so long ago, but they have found artifacts in the like in the Grand Canyon, for example, like hieroglyphics in the Grand Canyon, which and old relics of old fish and stuff like that in the Grand Canyon. So they saying that there was a time. Right. Oh, and they also believe that Atlantis is true. And well, Atlantis was a real thing, and people were actually able to live underwater at one time. I mean, it's hard to really get into that, because you think like, well, having human beings become more advanced instead of less advanced. So you mean to tell me that we could breathe underwater, now we can't? But we're talking about other worlds, and there is some kind of there are people who claim that the world was destroyed more than one time, and we had to start over. So our genesis may be a different, I mean, I can't say whether the stuff is true or not. From a physical standpoint, I would say, that's a bunch of bullshit. Because it doesn't jive with the history that I've been taught. But we have to know that there's some things that we have not been taught, because some people don't know, and there's an incentive for some people not to tell us at all. So yeah. I was gonna go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, to that end, like speaking on civilizations, being destroyed and reborn, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to unpack there. But I will say, based on the research I've done and everything I've seen with different eyewitnesses coming forward, Atlantis was definitely real, but it's not necessarily like the romanticized, like fairy tale stories that you may have heard, as far as like breathing underwater, things of that, or like having water creatures, although there may have been some alienoid creatures that were able to dwell in the water. The Atlantean society in itself was a more advanced, earlier human society. And it is possible for societies to have these periods of enlightenment and be destroyed. For example, like if there was some cataclysmic event that wiped out half of the US, we don't really have too many things that will withstand that type of devastation. Our computers would be blown up, our cars would be destroyed, or most of our buildings would be destroyed. So all we have from these time periods, they have found some structures underwater and things like that, are relics, stones that somehow made it, some, buildings that somehow still stand. So, right. Even if as advanced as we are today, if something completely wiped out half of our continent, we really wouldn't have much left for 30 generations from now for them to say, were those people really there, or was that a myth?
Facts.
So the Atlantean society was more so a society that was very highly conscious. Their consciousness was very much in alignment with the planet. So they were able to have technological advancements because of that. Like, for example, you mentioned that most of these pyramids and sites like that are in the desert. Well, it has a lot to do with the meridians of the earth and the ley lines. So a lot of these meridians and ley lines conduct a certain frequency. There have been scientific studies done on the frequency of rocks, as well as rocks in certain areas near these ley lines. Mm-hmm. So with these frequencies, they do resonate with the human body on a cellular level. There's even sound therapy and frequency therapy, because our cells, our DNA responds to these frequencies. So this is a very ancient technology that was familiar and common during the times of Atlantis. So a lot of these structures were built around these ley lines to kind of resonate at the frequency of healing or different things they were trying to accomplish within their own bodies or societies. They were very aware, they were very technologically advanced, but just like in any cataclysmic event, a lot of those technologies won't necessarily withstand certain types of devastation.
Right, like a nuclear war. Like if
Exactly.
if the type of weaponry, the type of nuclear weaponry that the United States has, coupled with maybe what Russia has, yeah, this world is done. You know what I mean? It could wipe out the whole thing easily. So
Right.
yeah, and who's left to tell the story? So the story,
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah, it's just when we start talking about life on other planets, it's really it takes a lot of imagination and a lot. It's funny because it takes imagination and it also takes a lot of logic. Like
Right.
if you consider if aliens can come here, they would have to be able to breathe our air. They would have to be able to live in our atmosphere. They would have to be able to use the resources that we have, the natural resources that we have, whatever it is, or they may be able to use something to sustain their life or to exist besides what we use. Like maybe we eat food, maybe they don't have to. Maybe they eat something else. You understand what I mean? Like
Right.
it could be plastic or something. Like we can't eat plastic. Maybe they can. And maybe little do we know. And this is all theory. I'm not saying that this is true, but you have to kind of jog your mind in that way in order to try to find some type of answers, because we don't have the direct answers. So we could find out that, for instance, vinyl or polyester or plastic is actually alien technology. And we never knew that shit. You know what I mean? So maybe how we have a lot of problems with plastic messing up our septic tanks and because it's not biodegradable, it hangs around. You know what I mean? We don't know if that's alien technology that we created as human technology, but maybe came from somewhere else that we don't know. You kind of have to think, and you have to try not to think in terms of absolutes and think more in terms of probabilities. And it's not that easy because you're not going to get the clear answers. But shoot, people haven't been getting clear answers about God since God. And they all right with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, people kind of tend to gravitate towards whatever they feel comfortable with and what makes sense to them. And it's like a lot of people aren't willing to kind of challenge that. What makes sense to you, and are you willing to challenge it if you find other data or other information to support another idea?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to this. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to keep going back to our theory of creation, but there has to be another theory. There has to be another way for things to be created. I've heard that aliens actually created us. I've heard.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, I've heard that when one of the problems that humans have so many problems on this earth is because we're not actually from here. So, this is sort of like our pit stop. Now, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. Like, is the life that we lead here just a prelude to the everlasting life that we will live somewhere else? Do we enter a different dimension? Who knows? What we do know is that when people die, they don't come back. We can summon mediums to summon, spirits of those who have passed on. But one thing we have never gotten are clear-cut answers about what happens after we die. We haven't gotten that.
Yeah. So not to get too esoteric, because I know everyone has their own religious beliefs, but I can definitely speak to the God question, and as far as like where we go and things of that nature. Of course, people are going to believe what they want, but so the universe works in series of threes. So the three constructs of the universe are experimentation, integration, and expression. So the whole reason for the human experience is just that: experimentation, integration, and expression. So it kind of ties back to the Big Bang. Humans, we've created definition of terms and terms for things so we can understand it in our own brains. But basically, the Big Bang was a collision of molecules and particles in the universe. As the universe began to become more aware of itself and more conscious of itself, it wanted to have expression. It wanted to integrate itself into a physical form and to manifest. And it wanted to have an experience. So humanity, we are starborn. To your question, you said people say that, even humans aren't from here. In a sense, that is true, in a way, because we are starborn in the sense that when the universe began to experience itself and become aware of itself, we were created. So on a molecular level, the human being and the human experience was created so that we could experience love, hate, passion, relationships. There's an infinite amount of experiences that humans go through in their lifetime. So that's all part of the universal. We're the great experiment. The universe wanted to experience itself. So in a way, that's why people say, "Oh, we're living in a matrix. We're stuck in a matrix." No one's stuck. This was all by design. The universe wanted to have these experiences. So we are here to know love, to know hate, to know fear, to know happiness, to know joy. So I would say, people just need to enjoy it and stop being like, "Oh, we're stuck in the matrix." It's like, no, this was consciously created so that we could have experience. That's the whole point. So after we die, essentially, since we're starborn, we go back to that existence and then on to the next life. Because it is true that matter is never created nor destroyed; it's just simply transmuted. That's throughout the human experience, we're maybe in a past life I was a whale. That's where the past life awareness comes in, which nowadays is kind of more of a trend, but there is a lot of truth to it. Because maybe the same atoms and cells in your body now were actually molecularly in a whale 100 years ago, because the energy is just recycled. So, there is a lot of truth in the past life theory. So when our physical human bodies die, that energy is then transmuted into another form and another life so that the universe can continue to experience itself.
That's interesting that you talked about being a whale in another life. I've heard that human beings you can only come back as whatever kind of life form you were. I've heard that you can't come back as a whale, and a whale can't come back as a human. And
No, you definitely can. I heard there was another esoteric teacher on the network that I was referring to about the whistleblowers. They have a bunch of different, spiritual teachers on there, and he was even saying he was like an atom on Mars. Like, you can choose to have the experience that you want, because that's all part of the quote unquote matrix. That's all part of this experience, is so we can experience different life forms and different things. So you can absolutely have been a whale or become a whale, or a lot of times spiritually, when people are saying they're getting visions and they're talking with God, sometimes they are really talking to their future self that's in a different form. So a lot of people kind of, because they don't quite understand it. So it's like, yes, I'm having conversations with God, I'm having these visions, but maybe you're having visions of the future because you're communicating with your future self. Maybe your future self is in a different form. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of layers to it.
Well, I don't, I don't want to speak in absolutes. I don't know if you absolutely can or absolutely can't. I don't know if it's absolutely truth or one big fat lie. You know what I mean? I think we'll all find out once we get there, but I don't know if any of us are capable of speaking definitely about anything dealing with the afterlife while we're in this realm, because we can't go there. You know what I mean? But as far as life on other planets are concerned, I don't know if you know anything about the South Pole and the reasons that we can't visit there. I've heard that That's where the entrance to the center of the earth is. I've also heard that that's where a lot of alien technology is, and where they have housed and stored alien beings there. But you can't visit there. You cannot go there. You can't fly there. You'll be shot out of the air. You can't sail there. You'll have your boat or ship sunk. You definitely can't drive there. It's just no way. You know what I mean? But and once again, just like a desert, like technically, places where we have ice caps are technically deserted places, like a desert where you can conduct drills and things like that, and you're going to be undetected because there aren't people out there. But there has to be a reason that the South Pole is sanctioned by like a bunch of nations. It's not even just the United States or whatever. There are a bunch of countries that protect that area, and only certain people can go. Even low-ranking military personnel can't go. You may be a general and can't go. You have to be authorized. There's something going on there, just like in Area 51. But the South Pole is not owned by any one country, and they don't have their own government. So there's a lot. Right. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when we start talking about life on other planets, when we talk about life, we're talking about a lot of possibilities, not just what might be a human being. We also have to talk about what might be an animal or some other type of being that we haven't even considered yet because it doesn't exist. You know how like some languages are not translatable, like they have some words in Arabic that don't translate into English. Things like that, and other languages that just don't. You can describe what they mean, but they don't have a word that translate directly into English. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that might exist with a life form. It may be a life form that we have not considered yet because we just don't know. Like a unicorn or a mermaid or some shit, which they say exists. I don't know.
Yeah, so specifically with the South Pole, like Emery Smith, the whistleblower, basically, so for the South Pole, it does tie into alien life forms, and also, like you mentioned, there's a lot of different governments who have agreements in neutral territories on an international level, where they can conduct research and experiments. And kind of going back to why these secluded areas were chosen to deposit information from these beings. A lot of the sentiment from these beings is that they wanted humanity to find information and remember their past and remember who they are when they were ready. That's always the caveat, when humanity was ready, right? But who determines that?
Right.
So I guess naturally, when we have the curiosity and the technology and the means to even begin to tap into what they're discovering, I guess that would be technically when we're ready. So the beings that place the information in the South Pole and also, Arctic areas were, I forgot their specific name, but they're very large. I don't know if you've seen documentaries about skulls and bone structures and bones of giants being found around the world. So this was a race of giants that came here, and they were the keepers of knowledge and information for the universe. Like, that was the pride of their race. So Arctic and weather conditions were very similar to their home planet. So a lot of their information that they left here was in the Arctic areas. And you can code DNA. You can literally leave information and codes in DNA. We have the technology to do it now. So a lot of what they're finding in the ice is like different organisms and different DNA helixes and structures that are not human, and they're encoded with this information. And Emery Smith specifically said he did a project in the ice, and again, it's down deep underneath the ice where they're finding these structures, these ships. They have like these organic crystalline life forms there that the color spectrum that these beings like put off, the human eyes can't even comprehend the colors of these organisms under the ice. Emery was saying that the colors that you see are not even on the spectrum of colors that we can identify here on planet Earth. They were just the most vibrant colors that he's ever seen. There's no word to even describe them from us in our language. So there's definitely a lot there under the ice, a lot of technology. And part of the reason why humanity doesn't always remember the past and who we are or were is they did a research about a gene in our brain that's only probably like 300 or 400 years old. And just to tie it in a little bit, if you are familiar with any of the scripts on the tombs from the pharaohs or any of the chronology of the Egyptian kingdoms, a lot of those rulers lived for hundreds of years. So a lot of the Egyptian scholars thought it was myth. But nowadays, they're saying a lot of it may actually have been the lifetime of that ruler. And the reason why we don't live so long anymore and we don't remember is because there's a gene in our brains now called a PPI gene. And it was not always in our cerebral cortex. Humans now have a gene called a PPI gene, and it's basically like a short-term memory inducer, excuse me, to where this gene causes us to forget things. Literally. So, and it's a couple hundred years old in the human brain. So prior to the introduction of the PPI gene into the human genome, we were able to remember past lifetimes. Humanity was able to live much, much longer. But there's a lot of studies out about this PPI gene that has caused humanity to kind of forget.
So are you saying that let's say in the Dark Ages, which is somewhere around the 1300s, 1400s, they remember things way better than we do?
Yeah, I would say that's true based on the research on the PPI gene. I would even say, so maybe 300 or 400 years was too early of a timeline, because even going back to like the Mesopotamians, like this gene was like towards the end of the kingships of the pharaohs is kind of when the PPI gene was like introduced. So I would say the Dark Ages, humanity was probably kind of reaching that low vibrational state then as well. Yeah, so the gene has truly caused humanity to forget and to also not live as long.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. That's I mean, that's pretty much a world of wonder right there. Like and I know that human beings are steadily evolving. So when we start talking about life on other planets, and you spoke about certain things that we find in the ice, and of course ice is water, and the unit of measuring life, the unit of measuring life on Earth is water. So
Right.
so every planet that we try to go to or study, we look for water. And even when they talk about Saturn and Jupiter or whatever, and they talk about how cold it is, and they talk about ice, but they can't necessarily say that it's ice, because ice is water. And no matter how, as far as Earth is concerned, as far as our unit of measurement is concerned, anything that is that contains water will contain life. Now I would think that if there's life on other planets, there probably has to be another unit of measuring life other than water, because water is an earthly thing. And like in our personal solar system with our 9 planets, well, they shut it down to 8 because they eliminated Pluto, as if they have the right to do that. But in our solar system, the only place that has water is Earth. The only place that has an atmosphere that that any life as we know it would be able to survive on is Earth, because we can't get water, we can't get heat, we can't live, we can never live on Mercury or Venus. It's way too hot. It's hotter than fire. It's hotter than blue fire and on those planets. And I was talking about Mars earlier and how Mars is colder than Freon. So we would never be able to live there. So when I start hearing us talk about things like colonizing Mars and things like that, I'm thinking that's ridiculous. There's no way. There's no way we could live in those conditions. There's absolutely no way. We would never be able to.
Not in our current. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, not in our current state. Like, as far as life on other planets and us living on other planets, right? It goes both ways. Aliens visiting here and us being considered aliens as we try to colonize and integrate into other planetary systems as well. Like, not in our current state in evolution. I definitely don't think we could make it long term on Mars. But one of the Emery Smith, the whistleblower, was saying that, in his dissections and interactions, he did come across a lot of technology that was adaptive in nature that would allow them to breathe our air, sustain themselves here. So I think they just have more adaptability because of their technological resources. And also, not to get off on too much of a tangent, but a lot of the true and valid abduction stories that are not a hoax were related back to hybridization because of different species wanting to integrate and to live on Earth long term without the constant need for adaptation. So it's basically like, hybridization has kind of become a solution to a lot of the adaptation issues with beings being able to integrate here for several lifetimes and generations. And maybe vice versa, if we ever have the technology or know how to, have hybridization with other life forms on these planets that we're trying to go, maybe that's how we get our long-term sustainability through that process.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we're talking about life on other planets, if they can live in our atmosphere, then there's probably a good chance that wherever they are from has some type of atmosphere or some things there that we can actually use. You know what I mean? Unless they have the technology to be able to totally change what they can't use or what they can't withstand or how they can't live and be able to. It's like, it would be like, and this is simple. It would be like converting a gas dryer to an electric dryer.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not it can be done. It can be done, but you would have to know how to do it. And you would have to know if it could be done in the first place. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they are able to come see us. To our knowledge, we haven't been able to visit any other planets that have life. Of course, there have been people who have said that they've been abducted. They have visited another planet. They've been inside of a spaceship. I mean, we don't know who's telling the truth and who's lying about certain things. They may be mixing a little bit. They may be mixing a little bit of lies and truth, a little bit of truth and lies. For all we know, I have noticed that ever since the emergence of camera phones, you don't hear about as many abductions. You don't hear about as many sightings. Of course, a lot of people are flying drones out there, so you don't. You know what I mean? It's easy to mistake a drone for a plane or an air or alien aircraft, spacecraft, something like that. We don't know was flying out there, but that could also excuse a spaceship from being detected. Like, oh, that's just a drone, or oh, that's just a plane. You know what I mean? Or that's a stealth bomber. I don't know. Whatever. There are more questions than there are answers, and even the answers that we do have or that we do get basically spawn more questions because we can't be sure. But the same way that you can believe in a supreme being, you can probably believe that there's life in other planets. I don't think that it hurts us to take it into consideration. I don't think that hurts us, but we're conditioned to believe that we're conditioned to believe in absolutes. Like, no, it can't be this and that. It has to only be this. And there's something that you mentioned before about we should just enjoy this planet and try to be as happy as possible because this is just a stop. We're not conditioned to be happy. We're not conditioned. We're not conditioned for that at all. We're not conditioned to get comfortable. We're not conditioned to do. We're only conditioned in a capitalistic way, especially in the United States. So the only way that you'll ever be happy or comfortable or content is if you're able to pay all your bills and have a bunch of money left. And we know that, that there are flaws in that theory. You know what I mean? Because we've seen many people who are extremely wealthy and extremely unhappy at the same time. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then also to the sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Also to the point of to the point of not knowing what to believe, and it could be a little truth mixed in with lies. Some of the other whistleblowers on the networks that I watch have come out and said that the earlier abduction stories were hoax facilitated by the government, in which he was aware of and maybe even partook in, simply because they do at times find it advantageous to blur the truth with the lies. Because when people become too aware of what's actually going on, they kind of become probative and they start asking the right questions, and then they become a threat. So some of the greatest threats that the government perceives to itself is the right questions, is humans becoming knowledgeable and aware. So there was this one really famous abduction story in the 60s. It was a black and white couple. I forgot the name. But they claimed to be abducted from their home. They had a very vivid account of what happened to them. They could describe in detail the colors and everything. Even the lie detectors that they were subject to determined that these people believed that they had this real experience. And they did, but it's a lot of whistleblowers that have come out and said that the government will partake in these blitz attacks on people under the disguise of terrestrials and aliens. And the point in that was to kind of instill fear, to deter people from asking questions, and trying to have curiosity about terrestrials, and more so have a sense of fear. Because this is also the time that a lot of these black budget projects in the desert are happening. A lot of these black budget projects are being funded in the 60s as well. So they don't want people to be probative. They'd rather them be fearful. So a lot of the abduction stories were actually facilitated by the government.
Yeah. I mean, the whole sworn to secrecy thing, we don't know how far secrecy goes. We don't know, because the thing about secrecy is that you can always fabricate it, because I mean, who's going to know? Like, the whole thing is top secret. But you know what I think is interesting? And I'm not even trying to be facetious, but just on some real shit. When Donald Trump was president, if he knew something about aliens, you think he would be able to keep his mouth shut? He's not able to keep his mouth shut about nothing else.
I don't think he would be able to keep his mouth shut, but with his actions, he's the only president that has been very adamant about a space force. Adamant in the sense that he was public with it. And he was very, I remember there was a couple months in his presidency where it seems like he was just obsessed with the idea. So I don't think he can keep his mouth shut per se, but I also think that with his actions, where some of the Democrats wrote him off as being crazy or obsessive, I think it's a point to that. I forgot how he's connected to Nikola Tesla, which is one of the most famous inventors in American history that has been associated with extraterrestrial technology. Some of his technology somehow, I forgot the lineage, Donald Trump was privy to it. So I think he is very aware. And I also think that's why he was so publicly adamant about a space force. I think that was kind of his soft disclosure moment. Speaking
of Tesla, So, Donald Trump acts like he has this love affair with Tesla and an electric car, right? Yet he doesn't want electric cars. He wants gas cars. Now you could say that that's tied to capitalism because the oil companies give a lot of money to Republican campaigns. But it's sort of like burning the candle at both ends, serving two masters. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a balancing act.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it. Yeah. So he wants gas stoves. He definitely wants gas. But at the same time, he says he wants to use only homegrown gas. And I'm like, and that's cool. It hasn't translated into cheaper prices, but and I don't think people understand that once the gas is gone, once the oil is gone, it's gone.
Right.
It fills up the earth it fills in with like water and stuff like that, but it's gone. And we don't know how taking oil from the earth affects the ecosystem. We don't know. And I noticed I noticed no matter how much you research that shit, they don't want to tell you exactly what there has to be something to it. There's nothing useless on this planet. But that does not replenish itself. It's not like water, which evaporates and then replenishes itself through rain. No, when the oil is gone, it's gone. That's it. So that would be just like removing an organ from your body. Like, he wasn't using that kidney anyway. Like, really? I'll see you at my funeral. Yeah, but thanks a lot. But, so if there was life on, if there is life on other planets, I wonder if they look at how wasteful we are on this planet. Excuse me, how wasteful we are on this planet, and I wonder if they would agree with how some believe that we're destroying this planet. I think it's.
I definitely.
I think that I do believe that we're destroying this planet. I think we don't know how far we are getting into that, but I do think that we are messing up bad. And I just wonder, like, other planets, aliens, extraterrestrials able to make it here when we aren't able to make it there? Or are we able to make it there? Is there some kind of communication? But the thing is, that's why I asked about other countries being able to have experiences with life on other planets too. Not just because we get to thinking that only the United States is privy to this type of information. And the United States is not even an old country. So I can't see how a country like let's say somewhere like Iraq, very, very ancient, like how they would be on equal footing with the United States. And who knows? Some of the world. Who knows if some of the world leaders didn't have a certain truth that they were going to expose at one time. Like, we don't know what a Saddam Hussein knew. We don't know everything we knew. We knew some of the things. We don't know what a Muammar Gaddafi knew. We don't know.
Yeah, I definitely know that world. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I definitely know that world governments are also aware. Like, I know there's a lot of joint projects on an international scale when talking about our government interacting with these other life forms. Other governments are in on it too. Political figures, especially like Hitler. I don't know if you've heard anything about his obsessions with Vedic texts. Like, earlier in the chat, someone was asking if you've heard of the Rig Vedas. Hitler was obsessed. He was obsessed with saucer technology. he had his advisors go out to India, actually, and do groundwork there on some of these ancient texts and scripts because of the technology that's described chariots flying in the sky, and the Vedas have a lot of this information. So a lot of world leaders, have definitely been interested in terrestrial technology historically. That's been documented in these ancient documents. The issue is that the truth has always been in front of our face. It's been in the Vedas, it's been on the cuneiform tablets in the Middle East, but it's just that humanity, with our PPI genes, we have the issue of constantly needing science to reprove what our ancestors already knew. Mm-hmm. So with these generations, we're constantly like, well, prove it. It's like, good and well, 600 years ago, your great grandma was chilling with the Anunnaki that was from 2 star systems from here. Mm-hmm. So it's just like we're constantly asking science to prove what we already know. If they're in front of us, the ancients wrote it down. They left us scripts about it. Mm-hmm. We just, for some reason, don't believe it. We want science to keep proving it to us every generation. So yeah, world leaders definitely know. Hitler even thought it out. There's been world leaders obsessed with this information and technology. Mm-hmm. A lot of governments are in on these joint projects.
Yeah, I mean, there are definite benefits to keeping this kind of stuff under wraps, because it would question governmental power.
Yeah, that's true.
It's bad enough that a lot of people don't trust government, and if we found out that they've been keeping these secrets for this long, of course they would have to make up some excuse about, we were keeping you safe because this thing is dangerous, and we were trying to figure out how to handle it. It's no different than Donald Trump fumbling the whole COVID thing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to scare everybody. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You ain't give us a chance to get away. Right. But yeah, War of the Worlds, movies that they've made about this thing. There may be some to this shit. It
is. The creator of Star Wars said that he was, I believe it was Star Wars, that he, had these visions and dreams about some of the specifics in the films and things, that he was visited by, beings or received downloads of information. It was either Star Wars or Star Trek, one of the stars. But yes, I do think that some of these imaginative worlds that we've created do have some truth to it, as far as like the movies and things that people have created, like the detail. I do think some of it, is based on a little truth.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about George Lucas?
Is that who created Star Wars? Yeah, somebody, either Star Wars or Star Trek, said that he received like some type of visions and dreams about some of the specifics of like the way the ship is, or warp speed or slipstream. I've heard it warp speed, slipstream, whatever, about how, the mechanics of how that all works, and different ins and outs of how that craft would actually maneuver in space.
Yeah. Listen, we're getting our technology from somewhere.
Oh yeah.
The ability to fly, to explore space. They say that there's a bunch of trash in space or whatever, litter or whatever. But when we start talking about life on other planets, tearing down your preconceived or your conditioned beliefs, it's not an easy thing for people to do. You know what I mean? Shoot, it's bad enough that we reject other religions because we think that it will invalidate our own, as if two forms of belief can't exist in the world. Well, we're taught that there can only be one because everybody else goes to hell, which I think is way too many people going to hell. But it is what it is. But yeah, if life on other planets were to be introduced, the chaos that would ensue and honestly, the psychological breakdowns that people would have, you know what I mean? Like the amount of anxiety that would probably exist would just be so chaotic and so crazy and so out of control that I guess it's more conducive for just a handful of people to know and be sworn to secrecy.
Yeah.
But you speak about your whistleblower. I'm wondering what would stop a person from telling all. I mean, people write tell-all books for profit all the time.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me nobody wants to write a tell-all book or whistleblow for something? I mean, there have been people who did it for no money. Would you do it for humanity? Like, what are the costs? What are the costs for not exposing this? Like, how far can we go?
He was saying that the cost of not exposing it, and once he left the company, so he's basically saying like these black budget projects, like you're either in or you're out, and when you're out, you're done, meaning that like your life is done. So he was actually saying that coming out and coming forward on the network that he was coming forward on saved his life and it saved his family's life. You know, he said basically what did it for him and what made him walk away from his contract was that he started getting samples that were still warm to the touch and still had blood flowing through their veins. So he would get like half of a body that was still warm. So he's like, wow, they're like killing these beings in the name of science or whatever the case may be. So, you know, he said he started to have some ethical conflict there and he walked away from it once he started getting warm bodies. So at that point, he said he started getting a lot of threats on his life. So in the community that he's from with these projects, most of his friends and colleagues, you know, they didn't make it. They're all dead now. So he was like, it's by coming out on these networks that he was actually able to get protection from the government and, you know, other agencies. So he said having disclosure actually saved his life.
Well, you know, many people have sacrificed their lives for less. And, you know,
right.
Now I could see if they're talking about torturing your family or, you know, something that's bigger than yourself. But people sacrifice their lives for causes, for less causes all the time, every day, you know? And I mean, people, quite honestly, commit suicide every day. So, yeah. Like, I don't know if there's a certain level of violence that could deter a person from exposing the truth if they really wanted the truth to come out. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, people do it for clout all the time. You know, like, it's crazy.
But I think people who know a lot of this information, they also have that responsibility that maybe they feel that weight on their shoulders, how you were saying, like, you know, should everybody know? Would it cause panic? You know, maybe in all of their trainings and some of the brainwashing they go through to keep quiet, you know, maybe they're battling. Maybe sometimes they battle with that too. Like, if I tell people, you know, what will the public do with this information? Are they ready?
And they're not ready. However, we all have to prepare ourselves, because my question is, okay, so if we're not ready to learn it today, how many todays and tomorrows go by, and what is the toll that it takes on us to push it back farther and farther?
Right.
Like, you know, we don't know. It's like not knowing that you're sick. And the longer that you don't know that you're sick, the harder it's going to be for you to get well. You know?
Right.
Like, you know, okay, you didn't know you had cancer. You've been suffering from cancer for 5 years. Guess what? You won't have to worry about it too much longer.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I question the toll that our ignorance will take on us while we allow.
You know, I've heard that debate as well. Like, even talking about other beings coming here with technology and information, you know, I've heard that debate goes on in those circles as well. It's like, do we tell humanity the truth and then they can decide what they do with it, but at least they know? Or, do we wait until they're ready because they have destructive natures and tendencies? So, I mean, it's like, I agree. I'd rather know than not know. Personally, I feel like people should know the truth. I feel like the truth is our birthright, personally, but I don't know. It could be chaos. It may not be. It may or may not be chaos.
I think they just keep on making another movie or a revealing documentary that doesn't reveal all, that's well edited, that kind of stuff, But listen, we got to get on up out of here. But KB, I really appreciate you calling in and giving that insight and the benefit of your experience and
yeah, of course,
and everything that you talked about tonight. It was very, very informative. And I think it's helpful. It's helpful. We don't know any of this stuff for sure, but the more exposure that we get to it, get of it, I should say, then we can get a little closer to drawing a conclusion that may be useful for us in some kind of way. I don't believe that there's a such thing as useless knowledge. There's a knowledge that you don't know how to use. I believe that. I believe that there are many ways for you to fumble the knowledge that's out there and that's available because we just don't know where to put it. It's just like having a bunch of chess pieces, but you don't know how to play chess. Yeah, you may know how to move the pieces, but you haven't developed the strategy yet. So your ability to win is almost zero. But yeah.
Right.
But yeah, once again, thanks for calling in. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for being down. I look forward to talking to you again. All right. You have a great night.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Good stuff from Go Getter KB. So, I mean, we taking on this whole life on other planets thing, man. This is not an easy conversation. It's not an easy conversation. Had I not been inspired, almost challenged to do this yesterday, I don't know if I ever would have done it. I'm glad we stepped into another dimension of conversation that we can have and that we can express ourselves with. All right, let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious September 2nd, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box, Pebbles Johnson. Happy birthday to you. And Go Getter, been down for a long time. Saboy, Build and Destroy. Saboy, Build and Destroy. Happy birthday to you. Keep doing your thing always and forever. And also Francine Jacobs, happy birthday to you. And Shantae, happy birthday to you. And also Ebony Thompson, happy birthday to you. And Valerie Labar Johnson. And also, Valerie was last. Last but not least, I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious September 2nd, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn to rock out. Rock on and do the damn rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, man, listen, life on other planets. Do they have celebrities like Michael and Janet? I don't know, but I wonder if it's so, and maybe one day we'll know exactly how the whole thing go. But for now, all we can do is speculate. I'm not even trying to give one speck of hate to anybody who believes or doesn't believe, because I don't know for sure, but I'm trying to find out more. So I keep on studying and researching, and one day we gonna find this thing true. And man, I know that even if we don't have the whole thing, we can still find out something and use it. And it won't ever come through closing the book, making sure that we got the truth on the hook. Well, the lie's gonna be told, the secret's gonna be holding us back, but we're under attack. We can still go on an offensive attack and fight back, fight back, fight back, fight back. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death, resuscitate y'all, and love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow night, 1 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 a.m. So make sure y'all come through. Hit the like button, y'all. Share the show. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Share the show. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Let's go look. I want to thank y'all for allowing this show to go down tonight. Appreciate y'all. Local boy, thanks for being active. Shirley Cheryl, Bob Smith, Patrick, yeah, appreciate all y'all, man. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. Oh, we about to clock out. We about to clock out so I can take off my uniform. Thanks for coming through. Yeah. Yeah, I could take off my work clothes. Y'all can take off your work clothes. I said to take off your work clothes. Thanks for coming through, man. No doubt. All right, so Blog Talk, we gonna get you out of here. Yeah. And for my YouTubers, you know just how we do, but thanks for coming on through. See you on the other side, my boobers. Peace. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel, holla back.